There was a time when you could focus, not effortlessly, but naturally. You could sit with a thought, finish a page, or walk through a quiet space without checking your phone. But now, you probably can't make it 15 minutes without reaching for something. A screen, a distraction, a spike of novelty. It's not just you. It's not a moral failing or a lack of discipline. There is something deeper at play, something hidden. This video isn't about fixing your focus. It's about understanding what broke it and how to gently put it back together. We'll explore the roots of distraction, the psychology of fractured attention, the quiet cost of a life lived in fragments, and the surprising way back. Let's begin. From the moment you started spending time online, you entered an ecosystem designed to fracture your attention. Not intentionally, not personally, but structurally. Apps compete for attention. Notifications slice up your day into hundreds of micro-reactions. Articles are written to be skimmed, videos to be tapped through, content to be consumed, not absorbed. You've been trained to scan, to bounce, to leave. And slowly, your mind adjusted to that rhythm. Now, stillness feels uncomfortable. Slowness feels like failure. You're not broken. You're reacting normally to a fragmented environment. But over time, this environment changes you. Attention becomes splintered. The ability to go deep, to stay, to feel immersed, that starts to fade. A study from the University of California, Irvine found that it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to return to a task after being interrupted. These constant micro-distractions don't just pull you away in the moment. They leave cognitive residue that lingers. And it's not just your phone, it's your calendar, your inbox, your daily inputs. Most people are managing more digital touchpoints now than at any other time in history. You start living on the surface of things, never diving in, never being fully here. But the ability is still there, underneath the noise, waiting. Inside your brain, this pattern shows up in the dopamine system. Dopamine isn't a pleasure chemical, it's a pursuit chemical. Every notification, every scroll, every novelty cue triggers a spike. Not because it's satisfying, but because it might be. You're not chasing pleasure. You're chasing the possibility of pleasure. And that's a much harder cycle to break. Over time, your baseline shifts. You need more stimulation to feel engaged. And the boring, subtle, meaningful stuff? It feels flat. Books, conversations, nature, things that require your full presence start to feel dull. Not because they are, but because your nervous system has been conditioned to expect spikes. Neuroscientist Dr. Anna Lemke, in her book Dopamine Nation, writes that chronic overstimulation can lead to a state of dopamine deficit. That means even normal pleasurable experiences, like reading or resting, can feel empty unless they deliver a high. This is why silence feels threatening now. Why sitting still with your thoughts can be anxiety-inducing. This is also why we experience a strange form of exhaustion, not from doing too much physically, but from being overstimulated mentally. You're not tired, you're saturated, but it's not your fault, it's your wiring. And wiring can be rewired. You might think you're multitasking, jumping between tasks, juggling inputs, staying productive. But your brain isn't built for that. Each switch comes with a cognitive cost, a small friction, a delay. Dr. Earl Miller, a neuroscientist at MIT, explains that the human brain is not wired to multitask well. What we call multitasking is actually just rapid task switching, and it drains mental energy significantly. When you context switch dozens of times a day, your brain gets tired. Not physically, but attentively. Focus becomes harder. Mistakes go up. Satisfaction goes down. It's not multitasking. It's rapid micro-recovery from mental strain. And over time, you begin to mistake that scatteredness for your baseline. You forget what it felt like to be clear. There's a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh that says, "When you drink tea, just drink tea." And while it may sound simple, that practice, the practice of being fully where you are, is becoming rare. But it's still possible. still learnable, still something worth reclaiming. Your digital life is built on triggers. Red dots, ping sounds, badges, tabs. Each one offers a micro sense of control, of response, of action. But that illusion of control fragments your mind. You're constantly checking, responding, opening, closing. Your attention is stretched thin. And the worst part? Most of those triggers don't even matter. They're artifacts of a system built to engage you, not to serve you. A 2023 study in Nature Communications found that frequent phone checking, even when no notifications are present, predicts lower mood and increased anxiety. Not because of what we're seeing, but because of the compulsive behavior itself. We become anxious not from what's outside us, but from our own internal looping, our anticipation of distraction. And that creates a feedback loop. You check because you feel anxious, and you feel anxious because you check. This isn't just annoying. It's training your nervous system to expect interruption. And over time, you internalize that. You interrupt yourself, but that doesn't mean you can't leave it. You can. Focus is presence. That's it. It's not a trick, not a life hack. It's the ability to fully inhabit a moment without mentally checking out. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote that to be everywhere is to be nowhere. A reminder that scattered attention is not just inefficient, it's a way of being absent from your own life. Presence requires stillness, slowness, spaciousness, and that's something modern life doesn't reward. We often speak about burnout as something that comes from overwork. But often, it comes from being spread too thin across too many inputs, none of which nourish us. You check one more notification, answer one more message, scroll one more screen, and then wonder why you feel restless, numb, or exhausted. But the real falling behind? It's losing your capacity to be here, to be in the moment, with your breath, your senses, the texture of reality as it is. That's not a luxury, that's a birthright. And reclaiming it isn't about doing more, it's about choosing less. So how do you get it back? You don't need hacks, you need healing. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who coined the term flow, found that deep engagement comes from doing one thing with full attention, often something slightly challenging but meaningful. Focus thrives on depth, not distraction. You reclaim small pieces of attention and guard them like gold. You do one thing at a time. You let silence linger. You allow slowness to stretch. You give your brain moments without input, walks without podcasts, meals without screens, conversations without glances at your phone. Because focus isn't lost, it's buried. And if you slow down, if you make space, if you listen closely, it will come back on its own.